Mishna Zayin, 7th Mishnah. Kofin ke'ara shel cheres. You are allowed to take a ball of clay al gabei haner b'Shabbat. You're allowed to put it on top of a candle on Shabbat. We explain. Bishvil shelo ta'achoz ha'esh bekora. So that the fire is not going to come into the beam של תקרת הבית, of the ceiling, כגון בבית נמוך, for example in a low house, ובלבד שישאר רווח בין הנר לקערה כדי שלא יכבה, as long as there's going to be a distance between the candle and the jug so that it's not going to extinguish it completely. So let's explain. There's a person puts Shabbos candles on the shelf next to the ceiling, and there's a beam over there. And the flame becomes big, and he's afraid, you know what, my house is going to catch on fire, the beam is going to catch on fire. So therefore he can take a clay pot that he has, put it on top of the candle, but he's not allowed to put it on top because then there's not going to be oxygen completely and it's going to extinguish. But he puts it on top in such a way that it floats above, the air can come in. In other words, it doesn't get extinguished.
Oh, he just prevents from the fire.
He wants to prevent the fire to go from the ceiling. Now, there's a couple of problems. He's not going to explain. So I'll explain. I don't see that he's explaining it. Okay, I'll explain it. I'll tell you what the problem is. Number one, the clay bowl or jar, whatever it is muktzeh. So what do you mean? You're not allowed to touch it.
Oh,
because it doesn't. What's the purpose?
It's a kli suddenly becomes to be like
the purpose of the kli is to go over the fire, right? And in Shabbos, you're not supposed to touch it because you cannot allow to use it for Shabbos purposes.
Yeah, but I can take let's say that I have a piece of aluminum that I cut my meat on it, and I put it down there.
Something
from the kitchen, not a kli, not a vessel.
Very good.
A patish or
very good. So if it's a kli, but this kli is specifically for what? For that purpose. Candle. So therefore it should be muktzeh. So therefore it should be muktzeh. How dare you put it there? So it says the truth is you're not allowed to do it. But what's our case over here? The case is like this. It says that you're allowed to move even such an object if you need its place. If you need the place. So the thing is on the table and you need the space on the table. So once you pick it up from the table because you need the space and you need to remove it, now once it's in your hand, you're allowed to put it wherever you want. That is the case over here. Okay? That's the case over here. Because otherwise it will be a problem to put, it's a muktzeh. What are you doing? Okay. Ve'al tzo'a shel katan, and you're allowed to put the kli on excrement of a young. Now, the simple explanation, which is wrong, when you read it, it looks like when a small child does doo-doo, you're allowed to put the kli over it not to get dirty, but that's not what it's talking about. Let's see what it's talking about. Bagmara mevuar, the Gemara explains. I'll tell you why this explanation, what I just said, is wrong. Right? I said it's a small child that went to the bathroom, you're allowed to trap it in a kli. Because we already know the halacha. The halacha is called graf shel re'i. There's a graf shel re'i. If there's something stinky in the house, anything, garbage, anything stinky,
you have to remove it.
For covered Shabbos, you're allowed to remove it. You don't have to, but you're allowed to remove it. It's for covered Shabbos. It's even recommended because it's not going to give. So that you're allowed to. So that can't be the case. I don't need this Mishnah to tell to me. I already know this. So what's the case? ועל צואה של קטן, בגמרא מבואר, in the Gemara it explains, על צואת של תרנגולים מפני קטן. We're talking about you're in the yard, and the chickens went all over the place, and your small child is playing with them. So you're going to put this over the chicken's doo-doo so the child is not going to touch it. כלומר, which means, שכופים עליה קערה בשבת מפני קטן שלא יתלכלך בה. You are protecting the small children from touching the chicken's doo-doo. ואומנם, in the truth, תשואה מונחת בחצר שיושבים בה. It says, if there's excrement in a yard that you're sitting in it, and you're trying to enjoy Shabbat over there, מותר להוציאה בשבת להשפעה או לבית הכיסא, you're allowed to move it. כדין גרף של ראי, it is called the גרף של ראי, שמותר לטלטלו בשבת כדי להוציאו. One is allowed to remove it on Shabbat in order to take it out. אבל כאן מדובר בצורת הנגולים שהייתה בחצרת אחרת שאין יושבים בה. Over here we're talking about excrement of chickens that was in another yard. ואסור לטלטלה ויוצא בשבת. You're not allowed to move it from there. הילקח באה המשנה. Therefore the Mishnah tells you, even though you're allowed to move it, you're allowed to protect your small child from it. And so you're allowed to put a vessel on them. להשמיענו שמכל מקום מותר לקוף עליה כלי כדי שלא נרבה קטן. You're allowed to put on top of it a vessel so that the small child is not going to get dirty.
And why wouldn't they be able to do it on Shabbos? Is there, if I take, if I go to the chicken coop and I this and I put, it's because it's not a live thing, so you don't trap something. So why wouldn't you be able to do something like this on Shabbos?
You're saying what's the melacha?
כן, כאילו, where does the melacha come from?
לכאורה, the melacha will be that this vessel, why are you touching it for? What's the purpose? What's the Shabbat? There's a rule on Shabbat. You just ate a meal, you finished the meal, you know the knife and the fork? The muktzah. Before the meal, the knife and the fork are not muktzah because you're going to use them for the meal. After the meal, the knife and the fork becomes muktzah. You need the purpose for Shabbat. You need a Shabbos purpose for it. Over here, you don't have a Shabbos purpose, don't touch it. Muktzah. Okay. Ve'al akrav, we already discussed this. And on a scorpion. וכן כופין ועל הקרב, וכן כופים קערה על הקרב, we also put a plate on a scorpion שלא תשח, that doesn't bite. But over here we have a problem, a further problem, not just muktzeh, it's a melacha of Shabbos. Trapping, we already discussed this. This is mamash trapping. ואף על פי שהקרב ניצוד בכפיית הכלי, even though the scorpion is going to be hunted, מכל מקום, we already discussed. There's a מלאכה שצריך לגופה, a job that you need. You need a scorpion, you're going to make candy out of it, you're going to sell it in the airport like they do it over here. You know, they sell scorpions in the candy. That's one thing. But over here, you're not doing it because you need the scorpion. You don't need the guf melacha. You don't need the scorpion. You just want to prevent the scorpion from biting somebody else. הרי זו מלאכה שאינו צריכה לגופה. This is a job, you don't need the body of the job. וסובר התנא של משנתנו, the Tana of our Mishnah thinks, שמלאכה שאינו צריכה לגופה, פטור עליה. That the מלאכה that you don't need its body, you're not obligated on it.
חשבתי זה לא. I thought that if you don't need
the halacha,
לגופה...
but the Tana of the Mishnah, he holds that you don't. Patur. We know that the halacha is chayav. Okay? וכיוון שיש כאן קצת סכנה, and he says, since over here it's also a little bit dangerous, לפיכך מותר לעשות לכתחילה כן. You're allowed to do it from the beginning like this. That's what he thinks. אמר רבי יהודה, Rabbi Yehuda said, nice thinking, he says, מעשה בא לפני רבן יוחנן בן זכאי. It says, such a case came, that you just described, in front of Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. What was the case? שכפה אדם כלי על הקרב. That a person took a vessel and put it on a scorpion. Where was it? בערב. It was in a place called Arav. It's a place of the name of a place. ואמר רבי יוחנן בן זכאי, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, you know what he discussed? You know what he said? חוששני לא מחטאת. I'm worried that maybe he needs to bring a sin offering, because we hold שמלאכה שצריכה, אפילו even a מלאכה שלא צריכה לגופה, even a job that you don't need the body of the job, you still obligated on it. So therefore, if we hold this way, I think he needs to bring a sin offering, because what he did. רבי יהודה הולך לשיטתו, רבי יהודה is going to his system, שמלאכה שאינה צריכה לגופה חייבים עליה. That even though you don't need the scorpion, you're never going to use it for anything, you're still obligated. But over here it's dangerous, you're going to say it. But it's dangerous, it's a scorpion. So it's not really dangerous. אין כאן סכנה ודאית. It's a scorpion, big deal. So the scorpion move. Who told you to go next to the scorpion? Don't go next to the scorpion. Tell the kids
to... It's in your house.
What?
It's in your house.
Yeah, don't go next to it. It's not ודאית. It's not סכנה ודאית. We're going to see the difference soon. ולעניין פסק ההלכה. So it says, so how do we deal with it? So it's like this. בעלי הארס הנושכים וממיתים. It says, things with poison that if they bite you, a person dies, or there's a danger of death, for example, snakes and scorpions for a baby, for example, that will be scorpion for a grown-up, I'm not sure, it depends. Yeah, scorpion for a baby.
With shoes and this.
Yeah. בעלי הארס הנושכים, כגון נחשים, gives an example, snakes, וכלב שוטה, and a dog with rabies, you know. That's right, he wants to... מותר להרגם בשבת כשיראה אותם. It says these kinds of creatures, even if they don't come and attack you, they're in the field. You're allowed to go and kill them on Shabbat because they're dangerous.
זה משונה.
Yeah, even though they're...
מה אתה מתעסק איתו? ריבונו של עולם, הוא שם...
Somebody else is going to go there in half an hour and you're not going to be there. It's going to get damaged. You're allowed to kill them. It's called mazikim. But it says, ושאר כל המזיקים. But any other creatures, for example, the case of a scorpion, or other bees, wasps, all kinds of these, are you allowed to trap them? How does it work with them? אם רצים אחריו מותר להרגם. It says if they're running after you, they're coming to hurt you, then you're allowed to kill them. ואם אין רצים אחריו, but if they don't come to kill you, then you're not allowed to kill them, but you know what you are allowed to do with them? מותר לקוף עליהם כלי. You are allowed to put on top of them a vessel, כדי שלא ישחו, in order so that they won't bite you. ואם דורסם לפי תומו בשעת הילוכו והורגם, and if you're just walking and they happen to be under your feet, you know, you just walk by the way, mutar, it's also permitted, because they're dangerous.
Every Shabbos I walk and I see them in nemalim, I try not to, please.
Yeah, nemalim are right, because they're not dangerous. You can't.
אבל אתה הולך, אתה פתאום דורס.
כדרך הילוכו, it's not the end of the world.
אז הוא אומר פה.
It's the same thing. If you see a scorpion and you walk on him, don't worry about it.
You're okay.
You're okay.